As Confucius said, when it's obvious that the goal cannot be reached, don't adjust the goals, adjust the action steps. That may be the single best piece of advice you're ever going to get. Write that down.
We must unweave every strand of the cable of habits slowly and methodically until the cable that once held us in bondage becomes nothing more than scattered strands of wire.
But all you care about is how bad your day is. All you care about is what you don't have. All you care about is what you lost.
And as Albert Einstein said, everybody's a genius. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it's stupid. And that's what confuses people. People believe that they're dumb because they're not finding their path. They're not defining things based on what excites them and what they want to live with every day. They're just looking to what the outside world says is good. And I think it's incredible that there are other people doing things that are so extraordinary that we aspire to be like that. But you have to understand the difference between being like someone and trying to actually be them.
It takes the consistent application of a new discipline, a more desirable one to overcome one which is less desirable. It takes discipline to plan. It takes discipline to execute our plan. It takes discipline to look with full objectivity at the results of our applied plan. And it takes discipline to change either our plan or our method of executing that plan if the results are poor. It takes discipline to be firm when the world throws opinions at our feet. It takes discipline to ponder the value of someone else's opinion when our pride and our arrogance leads us to believe that we are the only ones with the answers.
Burn it into your flesh. Tattoo it on your soul. Do whatever you need to do to remember that once you set a goal, once you've decided in your life there is something that you're going to make come true, don't let anything stop you from reaching that. But the reality is, as you go, things are going to get in your way. There will be an inevitable slew of obstacles coming at you. But when it gets so hard that you realize that the path that you're on is simply not going to take you where you want to go, rather than give up on what it was you said you were going to do, find a different path. And in that, when you really make that the cornerstone of your identity, that you refuse to bend or be broken by obstacles, by challenges, but instead you rise to those challenges. You go over, under, through them. You do whatever you have to. You devise any plan to find a way through. Then your life will change.
Now, if discipline is the key word, and if discipline is the key action, then what exactly is discipline? One good answer might be that discipline is a constant human awareness of the need for action, and a conscious act by us to implement that action. If our awareness and our implementations occur at the same time, then we begin a valued sequence of disciplined activity. Now, here's the other side of discipline. If there's considerable time that passes between the moment of awareness and the time of our implementation, then that is called procrastination. Doing it tomorrow instead of today. Procrastination, an almost exact opposite of discipline. The voice within us says, get it done. Discipline then says, do it now.
Anything that's materialistic can be replaced. But when your life is over, it will not come back. So why can't you understand the significance of life? You don't get a pass. You don't get a pass to keep making the same mistakes over and over. You don't get a pass of feeling sorry for yourself. You don't get a pass to saying it's okay, at least I tried. You ain't got time to try. You need to start living your life every single day and be blessed and be thankful and be strong and walk with power and walk with faith.
All right? Don't be like a studio gangster, right? For real, some of y'all, you come from good backgrounds. Like, embrace that. Some of y'all come from good homes, good parents. You got two parents at the crib, or you got your mom and your dad both involved in your life. Your grandma doggone took you to church. Your mom prayed with you, and you get out the house trying to act like, you feel me? Like I told you, I'm from the Chi. You can look up my birth certificate. I went to school too in Detroit. You can look it up. I don't gotta act like I'm hard. I don't gotta act like I'm nothing. Like I'm going to be who I am. Y'all all came outside. Each one of y'all, when y'all came outside, I did what? I shook your hand and looked you in your eye and said, what's up? And I said what to you? I said who I was and where I'm from. Some of y'all, you big time. You like, whatever. Who is this jerk? Or who's this dude? I'm like, I don't care how big time you are. Hi, I'm Eric Thomas. My grandma killed me if I don't introduce myself. That's just what my grandma taught me. That's polite.
Your potential, your truth, everything about you is beautiful. Stop letting the ugly things possess you. Stop letting the world shut you down. It is not the world's responsibility to make you better. It is not the world's responsibility to build you up. Find a way, make a way, and keep living every single day of your life. How dare you? How dare you fall back? How dare you say you're done? How dare you say it's over? How dare you commit to the things that are not giving you?
I don't care how much money I got. I don't care how much fame I got. We all humans. Be who you are, bro. Whoever you are, wherever you come from. You come from the suburbs, you ain't got to claim like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you from the north side of Chicago, you ain't got to be, you from the suburbs, you ain't got to be like, yo, I'm from the west side. You ain't got to try to claim something you not or be something you not. Like, be comfortable in your own skin is what I'm trying to tell y'all. That's how I blew up. I wasn't trying to be rebellious wearing a hat. I'm from Run DMC era hat, LL Cool J hat, the Fat Boys hats, UTFO hats. That's the era I'm from. I've been rocking 5950s since I was 16 years old. The shoes, that's my game, bro. I don't do shirt and tie. I think a black man in a suit and tie look phenomenal. I just don't do shirt and tie. I'm from the D. My people worked at Ford, GM, and Chrysler. Didn't nobody wear suits to the plant. We hard hats. So I'm myself, bro, and I'm comfortable with myself.
The ammunition and the strength to carry on. Stop letting your weakness and your fears and your misery and your doubt, all of these things are hurting you. Maybe you're that person that's not fighting cancer. Maybe you're that person that's not homeless. Maybe you're that person that doesn't have nothing else left to give because they have nothing at all to give back. They've given everything they thought they had. And now they feel their life is over. But I'm here to let you know that you are not over. You just gotta get over. And you gotta keep going. Recognize your purpose in this world. We are all responsible.
It's an interesting thing about life, I've also found, that if you don't have the courage to act, sometimes and particularly if you have something special to do, life will move on you. If it were not for life, I would still be a disc jockey. I didn't just leave voluntarily to go to the state legislature. I was fired. I was working on a job, and I came home one day, I was married at the time, and I told my former wife, I said, that guy Bert I work for is stupid. She said, if he's so stupid, why does he sign you a paycheck? Now, you see why I divorced her, right? I couldn't stand her. That night, I could not sleep well. Here was a guy that was controlling my life. I was going through all kinds of changes because this man controlled my paycheck. And It was Carlyle who said, truth crushed to earth shall rise again. Winston Churchill said, the truth is incontrovertible. Malice may attack it, ignorance may deride it, but at the end there it is. And we know scripture that says, ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. And the truth that I had to come to grips with, that I wasn't in charge of my destiny. The truth was that I wasn't giving all that I had. The truth was that there are some things that I wanted to do, but I didn't have the courage to act on those things. And the truth was that Bert Childs was a blessing to me. He made life so miserable for me, I had to start looking at my life differently. I started going to work earlier. I started being the last one to leave there. I started working harder than anybody else. The other guys could not. Why would you work so hard, Les? I said, I'm not working for them. I have been cheating, Bert, I thought. I've been cheating myself and my family. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, do it with everything that you have. Develop the habit of giving more than what you're paid for. Develop the habit of setting standards that others will be measured by. Someone said, do not go where the path may lead, but go where there's no path and leave a trail.
You know, we live in a world where opposites are in conflict and we're in the middle. There's the pull to do good and the pull to do evil, to do what's right, or the pull to cross the line. That bit of warfare goes on even in our own head, our own consciousness. When I was a little kid growing up, I remember this cartoon of a little boy, and it showed this little boy with a little devil on one shoulder and a little angel on the other shoulder. The little devil said to the little boy, go ahead and do it. It'll be okay. It'll be fine. Go ahead, go ahead. Little angel saying, no, 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 don't do it, don't do it. Little devil said, yes, go ahead. Little angel voice, no, no. And I guess that's part of our life experience. It's part of the adventure. The old prophet said, love good and hate evil. And if we become educated in that way, knowing when the voice of temptation is not the right road to take, we make some better choices. When I got up this morning, a little voice said, you really don't have to do your exercises today. You could skip today. You've got some work to do. And I got in at about 1 o'clock this morning on my airline flight from Colorado Springs. But as recently as this morning, the little voice said, you don't have to do them this morning. But I well know that if I postpone a day, sure enough, I've got to make up for it somewhere. Maybe do a modified version if I don't have quite enough time, but don't let it just go. But we all have that. You know, that's fairly constant, what voice to listen to. I guess part of the answer is not to become a victim of yourself. Beware of the thief on the street that's after your purse, but also beware of the thief in your mind that's after your promise. The little thief in your head that says, you're too tall, you're too short, you've never done it before, it's not going to happen for you. Others can find this book, you can't find it. If you found it, you probably wouldn't read it. If you read it, you probably wouldn't understand it. This is a constant bit of warfare going on inside of our head. So we all have to deal with that. But what I call that in these experiences is the great adventure.
I was the vice president of community outreach for the University of Chicago Hospital. And I got that job because I didn't compromise. Because before working at that job, I was working as an associate dean. I had Malia. Barack was in the U.S. Senate. So I was basically, mothering part-time on my own. I had a full-time job. So I tried part-time. I've talked about this before. I tried part-time because I thought I have to figure this out. I have to be able to pick the kids up. I've got to be able to do all this. So tried part-time. So only thing I found out from part-time was that you just get paid part-time because I was still doing a full-time job. I was just cramming it all into the few hours that I was there and driving myself crazy. So I had vowed that if I continued to work, that I would never settle for part-time. I knew what my time and energy was worth. So when I went into the president's office to interview for that job, I thought, I have a little baby. I don't have babysitting. So here we go. We're all going to go in to see the president because this is who I am.
Yeah.
And I said, and if I take this job, I need flexibility and I need full pay. So if you want me to leave my baby and my kids, then you're going to have to pay me because I'm going to do the job. That was never a question. I could deliver, but I knew then I wasn't going to sell myself short. I don't ever view it as bravery.
Yeah. You didn't think that was brave saying, look, right. I'm going to be paid full time.
Right. I just viewed it as I'm not going to be taken advantage of. I am just not going to keep selling myself.
You knew your value.
That's absolutely
You knew your value.
Right.
When you are struggling and you start thinking about giving up, I want you to remember something that my husband and I have talked about since we first started this journey nearly a decade ago. Something that has carried us through every moment in this White House and every moment of our lives. And that is the power of hope. The belief that something better is always possible if you're willing to work for it and fight for it. It is our fundamental belief in the power of hope that has allowed us to rise above the voices of doubt and division, of anger and fear that we have faced in our own lives and in the life of this country. Our hope that if we work hard enough and believe in ourselves, then we can be whatever we dream, regardless of the limitations that others may place on us. The hope that when people see us for who we truly are, maybe, just maybe, they too will be inspired to rise to their best possible selves. Shoot, it's the hope of my folks like my dad. Got up every day, do his job at the city water plant. The hope that one day his kids would go to college and have opportunities he never dreamed of. That's the kind of hope that every single one of us, politicians, parents, preachers, all of us, need to be providing for our young people, because that is what moves this country forward every single day. Our hope for the future and the hard work that hope inspires. I want our young people to know that they matter, that they belong. So don't be afraid. Do you hear me? Young people, don't be afraid. Be focused.
When you get through failing, all you got to do is make one. All you got to do is make one. I've had in my career probably a total of, I've been to over 200 pitch meetings to pitch ideas in Hollywood. Out of those 200, they have picked 5 of them. 200 meetings, 200 show ideas. They've picked 5 of them. But you know what them 5 was? Hits. So you know what they made me? A star. I only had 5. I only hit 5. The rest of the shows I had somebody thought of and asked me to be on the show, and I might have turned it into a hit. But I've only been picked, 5 of my ideas got picked. In 33 years, 5 ideas got picked. All I need is 5 hits. That's all. Y'all don't even know I was in them other meetings. They don't write about it. They just write about my hits. You just need a hit, man. So when you fail, it's a part of the process. Keep going. You're supposed to fail. Shit, who you know that gets it right all the time? That's impossible. You have to fail. Matter of fact, when you fail, be glad about it. Every time you fail, you're one step closer. So every time you fail, say, whew, got that out the way. Go to the next one. Fail again, okay, I got 2 out the way. What's gonna happen is if you just keep swinging, you're gonna get a hit. A baseball player gets paid millions and millions of dollars for a 300 batting average. That means out of every 10 times he goes to the plate, he only hits the ball 3 times. They're millionaires. They only hit it 3 times. Man, please. I can't wait to fail.
Mistakes are the price for a full life that you have to pay if you learn from them. I believe that hell wants to maim you and mock you with your mistakes. But heaven wants to make you and transform you by your mistakes. Failure should not become a prison house where you're held hostage the rest of your life by your mistakes. That's not God's voice. That's not God's will. That's not God's plan for you. And I'm not naive. My wife, who is here, whom I love more than anything in this world, my 5 children, my 3 grandchildren and growing. And I can't help but understand that the enemy wants us to think that our failure is final, because I've seen us go through things where the enemy tried to take us out by a failure or a mistake or a terrible choice. I want you to understand that your mistakes, and this is what I'm preaching on, if you need a sermon title, this is it. Your mistakes are not final. Your failure is not final. Rejoice not over me, O my enemies. For when I fall, I will rise again. When I sit in darkness, the light will come. Take a moment and praise God for that amazing truth. It's right out of the Bible. I want somebody to hear me clearly. You might have made a mistake, but you're not one. You might have failed, but you're not a failure. You might be down, but down is not your destiny. There is a resurrection coming to your dream, to your life, to your call, to your purpose. You might, and here's what I really feel like saying. Just gonna go on and say it. Because the truth is, sitting among us are young men and young women who were here last forward. And between then and now, you've fallen. You've messed up. You did something. You wanted it. You had to have it. You had to try it. And you did it. You experimented with drugs and alcohol. And now you're addicted. You had to try. And now you've lost your purity or your virginity. And the enemy, if you could go back, you would give anything to go back and change that night or that place or that situation that changed everything in your life.
The one thing, whether or not this is a dream or not, becomes irrelevant. The only thing that matters, if it is a dream, is whether you can realize what the essence of the dream is. Consciousness. And you can only realize that directly, here and now, as this. Oh. Descartes, of course, the French philosopher, said, "I think, therefore I am." If he had waited a little bit longer before saying anything, he could have come to the point of cessation of thinking, and then he could have made the more profound statement, "I am conscious, therefore I am." Thinking is only an expression of consciousness, a surface expression of consciousness. So this realization of, we could call inner stillness, of spaciousness, of presence, of, well, there's a term that's very popular these days, and that's a good thing. It's called mindfulness, which I use almost never, except when I explain why I don't use it. I don't use it because it seems to imply that your mind is full, but it's not what mindfulness is. It really should be called mind emptiness. The entire practice of, for example, people find certain esoteric spiritual practices very strange and hard to understand. Zen is one of those. People say, what does it all mean? What's Zen all about? Cessation of thinking without loss of consciousness. That's what the Zen masters are trying to show you, non-conceptually. As the Zen master became famous because when he was asked, please explain the meaning of Zen, all he would do is raise his finger and look at you. Is that it? Yeah. And I've been in the monastery for 15 years for that. Yes. Sometimes it takes a long time before realizing that it doesn't take time to know who you are. That's a paradox. So I'm not saying don't go to a Zen monastery. Perhaps you have to. It may take time to realize that it does not take time, but it doesn't have to take time. It's here and now. I'm saying this to especially the spiritual seekers among you who have made it your life purpose to seek whatever it is, the ultimate spiritual experience or transformation. And the very seeking has become, without you knowing it, the greatest obstacle to spiritual realization.
First of all, one of the things about the global pandemic that I said to my staff and to my family the moment I heard how the circumstances in the world changed, I just said I refuse to be a victim to these circumstances. So a victim consciousness is when we allow something in our outer environment to control the way we feel and think. So if I say to you, Jay, why are you so upset today? And you said, oh, it's because of this person or circumstance. What you're really saying is something in my outer environment, some person or some condition is controlling the way I think and feel. Now, that's not the truth. That's just a response, right? So anything that controls our thoughts and feelings causes us to be victim to those things. And the stronger the emotion we feel to some circumstance in our life, the more we pay attention to it. And where we place our attention is where we place our energy. So we're giving our life force, we're giving our power away to that circumstance. And so I just made up my mind that it was a great opportunity to get into the cocoon. And I don't think I've been healthier in my life. I mean, I'm usually on 6 different time zones in 4 weeks, running a lot of events, as you said. But I saw it as an opportunity to really self-reflect, to really immerse myself into my own personal work, to redo our website, to redo our brand, to connect more with my staff, to cook my own meals again and work out and use my body and do my walking meditations on the beach. And of course, I've had a fabulous 9 months or so. But I think, I think one of the challenges I think many people have is really the discernment of information. It's really difficult to know what's the truth anymore, just because information is so accessible. And I used to say that in an age of information, ignorance is a choice. And now we have to confront a whole nother level, and that is the information that we're getting. Is it actually supporting us, or is it something that really is an incentive to cause us to make choices? So for me, I think the biggest challenge has been just really an awakening to what kind of information I want to expose myself to. And I think it's now more than ever a challenge for a lot of people in the world.
So I'm going to talk to you today about a different way of looking at what real is. It's not easy to figure out what real is because we don't really have infinite knowledge, and so we're always making some sets of presuppositions about what's most real. And it really matters what you assume is most real, because you base the decisions that you make that run the entire course of your life on those assumptions, whether you recognize it or not. And if you get the assumptions wrong, or even if you leave them incomplete, you're going to pay a big price for it. And the assumptions that we use in our culture, although they've enabled us to develop a tremendously potent technology, are incomplete in ways that have also cost us and that are extremely dangerous. And since the scientific age began, we've lived in a universe where the bottom strata of reality is considered to be something that's dead, like dirt. It's matter, it's objective, it's external, and there isn't any element of it that lends any reality to phenomena like meaning or purpose. That's all been relegated to the subjective and in some ways to the illusory. But it's by no means self-evident that that set of presuppositions is correct, because we lack infinite knowledge, and there's many things about the structure of being that we don't understand. The main one being consciousness. We can't account for it at all, and we can't account for the role it appears to play in the transformation of potential into actuality, which is a role that's been recognized by physicists for almost 100 years now, and which remains one of the biggest unsolved mysteries in science. There are other ways of looking at what's real, and these other ways have some advantages, and one of the advantages they have is that they protect us. Knowing these other ways of operating within reality, defining reality, protect us from certain kinds of pathologies. And modern people are prone to a fair number of pathologies that stem from assumptions of the systems they use to define reality. And one of those pathologies is kind of a nihilistic hopelessness, which is a consequence of the recognition that in the final analysis nothing really has any meaning. And because life is difficult, and that's a meaning that you can't escape, being forced to abandon your belief in a positive or a transcendent meaning can leave you weak at the times when you really can least afford to be weak.
I had been working my whole life. And what I didn't understand, by being determined to chase something, by being committed to it, and what commitment is staying true to what you said you were going to do long after the mood that you have set it in has left. You see, people think commitment is saying, yes, I'll do it on the days when it feel good. But I have been committed to everything that I ever started in my life, and I never stopped and I never quit it. And so by being committed to everything that I started, I finished it. It built a certain type of spirit. It built a certain type of mentality. It built a certain type of individual. And so now I couldn't quit even if I wanted to. I couldn't stop even if I wanted to. I had too much sweat equity in my life and everything that I was doing.
You cannot have relationship without reciprocity. You cannot get into a relationship to get and not give. And I want you to ask yourself, do you give as good as you get? Add up what you're getting and weigh it against what you're giving, and then you will know whether you're really joined to anything.
Because I understood my existence wasn't about me. I went from me to we a long time ago. I understood the process is more important than the product. It wasn't about the outcome for me. Whether I made it to the NFL or not, that was inconsequential in God's plan for my life. But I was going to fall in love with that process, because I understood by falling in love with that process, it was going to turn me into a machine. You see, a lot of people need things to get motivated. A lot of people need a little extra money to get motivated. A lot of people need, whatever the case may be, a little bonus to get motivated. I don't need anything but breath in my body and life. You see, the thing we have to understand about everything that we're a part of, first and foremost, it's a blessing by God. And when it's a blessing, you can't help but to give everything you got to it. My life got saved. I got spared my life.
Without commitment, you'll never start. But more importantly, without consistency, you'll never finish. It's not easy. If it was easy, there'd be no Kerry Washington. If it was easy, there'd be no Taraji Henson. If it were easy, there'd be no Octavia Spencer. But not only that, if it were easy, there'd be no Viola Davis. If it were easy, there'd be no Denzel Washington. So, keep working. Keep striving, never give up, fall down 7 times, get up 8. Ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship.
Yeah, people that come to work, they take a job, they're not committed to the job, they want the check. They want the check. Well, everybody wants some money, baby.
I'm just here for the check. That's why it's not going to work for you. You don't understand the reciprocity. Anybody wants some money, but if you're not willing to give at least as good as you get, it will not last. And that's why you can't stay anywhere or work for anybody, but you've never been joined to anything. So you collect anniversaries, you've got a lot of birthdays, you've got some plaques on the wall, but you've never been the person that you could be, because the could be is locked up behind commitment. And until you're committed, you'll never get the could be.
Because when you start looking at giving your best at all times, that's not easy. But when you are committing yourself to doing something, those are the standards that you set for yourself, because that's who you are. If you're working on a job where you're miserable, they're not paying you what you're worth, and you're dissatisfied, if you have decided to continue to take a paycheck, you owe it to yourself to give it your best effort. If you get in the habit of being mediocre or doing just enough to get by, you're not hurting anybody but you. You're cheating you.
The moment that you commit yourself, then all unforeseen incidents, people, things that can happen that are positive begin to come your way. And basically the whole thought was the fact that nothing comes to you until you commit yourself.
There was a man who was an efficient builder. He had worked for years in a large company and had reached the age of retirement. His employer asked him to build one more house. It was to be his last commission. The builder took the job, but his heart was not involved. He used inferior materials, and he failed to see the many things that should have been clear to him had he shown even his normal interest in his work. When the house was eventually finished, his employer came to him and said, "The house is yours. Here's the key. It's a present from me." The builder immediately regretted that he had not used the best materials and engaged the most capable workers. If only he had known that the house was for him.
Half studied, half worked, half labored, and then wonder why I thought I'd be further than I am at the age. Let me tell you why you are not further. It is not the devil, it is not witches, it is not demons, and it's sure God ain't haters. You are not any further than where you are right now, because you have never thrown your whole self at anything in your life. And you think greatness goes on sale, but true quality never goes on sale.
Live each day with integrity. Don't try and get over in life. Don't try and cheat. See, a lot of people like to try and cheat. Don't try and cheat. Say, well, you know, this little bit won't count. Everything counts.
To be connected, to be focused, to be committed. That is something we don't see anymore. You've always been casual and never been committed. And some of the most casual people are talented people, because talented people will lay on their talents and use their talent as a camouflage to cover up their lack of commitment. And because you're talented enough to be able to float by on broken pieces, you will fool an indiscriminate eye into thinking that you are committed. You're not committed, you're just talented. You'll never know what you could have been if you would have really committed yourself. You're just talented enough to get over. And you faked them out. You've been at 30 or 60-fold when you were created to be 100-fold person. I can't be committed to everything. I can't join everything. I can't be married to 1,000 women. I can't work 1,000 jobs. I can't join 5 churches, because I take my commitment too seriously to spread it around loosely.
Success brings envy. So don't be surprised when you start doing well, you start losing some friends. Suck it up and keep moving on.